Hello there, it's 2200 hours in Banjul. This is GRTS News, broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. We begin with our top stories this hour. His Excellency President Adama Barrow lays the foundation stone for the construction works, building new facilities for the new University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology in Brikama. Expanding the national electrification program, NAWEC moves to light up all communities in Kiang as they expand the country's power grid to the hinterlands. And extending the Great Green Wall, Gambian ecologists intensify tree planting activities, establishing an 8,000-kilometer long line of trees across the Sahel to hold the certification in the biggest eco project. And in sports, Soma signing Darwin Nunes sealed a victory for Liverpool as they beat Manchester City 3-1 to clinch the Community Shield. And away from our shores, a new Amnesty International report says the suffocating crackdown against Afghanistan's female population is increasing day by day. Elsewhere, fire crews in the United States are making progress against California's largest wildfire, with more than a third of the unprecedented oak blaze contained. Well, that's the top of the news and much more coming ahead with me, Fatoumata Cham. Thanks for joining us. Well, it's great to have you here with us. We begin with the presidency. His Excellency Adama Barrow today laid the foundation stone for the new University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology, USET, in Brikama, West Coast region. Funded by the World Bank, AI's Impact Project, the project's opening will launch the beginning of works constructing faculties for the Gambia University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology in its new site in Brikama, where the Gambian leader outlined the deep commitments advancing government's educational transformation agenda to provide quality and relevant tertiary and higher education to Gambians. Let's take a listen. That excerpt will air in our subsequent bulletins. Let's head to the North Bank region now, where 33 communities across Central Badibu district benefited from a rice donation courtesy of Fatou Barrow, the First Lady of the Gambia. The rice consignment, amounting to 50 bags, was given to women farmers in the North Bank region communities to boost rice production in the area. Famara Kanye tells us more.
Bags of paddy rice are donations from Fatouba Barrow, First Lady of the Republic of the Gambia. It's a customary practice from the office of the First Lady accorded to these communities across Badibu. The support aimed at promoting rice production and productivity across the region. District officials, including Chief Alhaji Jan, thanked the First Lady for the support. In his address, he said rice is a staple food in the Gambia. Any support to boost its production is considered a step in the right direction. Access to viable seeds still remain a challenge to many farmers across the regions. Women who are engaged in the rice production will often go through the hardship throughout the production period. With this support from the First Lady, farmers can now have access to assorted seeds and on time. Aida Kamara of Badibu Mintekunda, Sute Sahna of Mandori, and Fatou Keita of Njabakunda all thanked the First Lady for her contributions towards the promotion of rice production. The cost of fertilizer forced many of the women to send this passionate plea to the First Lady. They called on her office to support them with fertilizers to boost their productivity. For the news, I am Famara Kani.
Well, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy Friday graced the signing ceremony for a partnership agreement between Gamtel and Senegalese telecoms company Free at a colorful ceremony in Kololi. The agreement is signed to improve Gamtel internet services and strengthen the international communications gateway. Ibrahim Jallo picks up the rest of that story.
The Gambia Telecommunications Company, Gamtel, has signed a master service agreement for a cross-Gambia 2 network with a Senegalese telecom company called Free. The service agreement is meant to enhance the capacity of Gamtel in improving internet connectivity and the control of international traffic of communication services. The lead counsel for Gamtel, Lamin Jabi, specified that the master service agreement was agreed upon following a thorough emphasis on capacity for effective service delivery by the contracted company.
We discussed very frankly and openly, and almost all the members of the team are people with some deep understanding of the requirements of network management and network contracting. So I suppose the first challenge I would just want to share with you shortly that we have discovered in the course of this negotiation or the drafting of the document is the issue of capacity.
The general manager of Free Business Company, Mamadou Mbeng, expressed delight in securing this mega agreement with Gamtel. He said his company is committed to delivering innovative and quality connectivity services for Gamtel.
As of today, we have agreed with Gamtel and Free will provide 2 dark fiber lines that will cross Gambian territory, and in return, we will provide Gamtel with an internet connection with a capacity of 8 gigs. In addition, our new partner, Gamtel, will be able to benefit from the special commercial offer for the rental of additional internet capacity, to an additional of 5 giga.
Lamin A. Tunkara is the managing director of Gamtel. He said the company is unleashing its ambitions to meeting its obligations. According to the Gamtel boss, the quest for a fast, reliable, and accessible telecommunication services remains central to the company's agenda. He said strategic points have been mapped out to install the infrastructure required for the operations of the projects.
It is not only important to be connected, but to be connected fast, anywhere and at any time. This is what all consumers want around the world, and in the Gambia here, we are no exception. We have an OSN place at Farafenye, OSN place at Soma, OSN place at Serakunda and Banjul, 2 amplifiers at Serakunda, 2 amplifiers Banjul, 2 amplifiers Soma, 2 at Farafenye, and 1 amplifier at Boyam and Kerawang each.
The Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Usman Ba, acknowledged that it was important to realize the need to move into partnership for standard. He said this move will enable Gamtel improve on its services and generate more income for national development.
Proper preparation prepare you for proper performance. And it is now I see that Gamtel has pivoted for the noise that have been stated over the last 2-3 years. Gamtel is about to go down and people were worried, morale were low, and so on. But I think when you're doing the same thing every single day, and you're seeing the same result, that tell you your strategy is not working. We have to look at the submarine cable that we have currently is almost halfway of its lifetime. And it's important for us, if we decide we want the telecommunication to go back in the mid-80s, we have to look at what are others doing that we are not doing, and just realize it is time to build partnership.
The initiative seeks to enable Gamtel regains its lost glory of being a leading telecommunication company in Africa. Ibrahima Diallo, GRTS News.
Well, moving on, the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC, is on a fresh drive to extend the Gambia's electricity grid under a new scheme providing electricity to communities in Kiang, Lower River region. A NAWEC delegation led by the company's top executive visited the communities of Kiang Kayef, Masembe, and Jinyeri on Friday to observe the second phase of the National Electrification Program, spreading the country's power grid to the hinterlands. Baba Silla has more details.
An electricity company moves to deliver promise made by the government to provide electricity to every community in the Gambia by 2025 as energy officials expand the rural electrification program in Kiang Lower River region. The NAWEC Managing Director and his team visited the communities of Kiankaya, Masembe, and Jenere, which are part of the second phase of the National Electrification Project, extending the power grid across the country's hinterlands. After 5 decades without electricity, these communities are excited to enjoy the long-awaited promise projected to boost business and create avenues for crucial social amenities and services to communities.
Because ala sura bale ay toro men ken na ngawgel ntolo ka boja nen kata gala so san soma gala din killing das talu ya lo ko latan yo ne nda walo so ko ba ma bala be kam ma bono ko na ma be tinyala nun to mole men non to ma wono ka su bo kan den ka ma ko wati jang samu sol mo wono o toro be ala ke nin kuran so taw be balan kan.
Works are in high gear as the contractor recommits to meeting the agri-contract timeline.
And the responsible for the electrical expansion project phase 2. And we are in this project we will electrifying the 13 number of community which having around 2,300 poles, and the MB line around the 88 kilometers and the LV line around the 98 kilometer with having the 15 number of distribution transformers. And as you see, out of 13 communities, we have already completed the 9 number of communities LV line poles works.
This project, funded through the Exim Bank of India, started with the first phase completed in 2017, covering 77 communities, 14 of which are in Kiang Lower River region.
Today we are in Kiang East to monitor the progress of work for the electricity expansion project, which is the phase 2. The initial phase was implemented sometime in 2019, 2020, 2021, but we are now expanding the project, which we call the second phase, which is covering Kiang East this time around. We were in Kiang West, part of Kiang West and Kiang Central for the first phase. For the second phase, we are covering some villages in the eastern part of Kiang, which includes Kayaf, Masembe, and other communities.
Energy sustainability is a key part of the government's agenda encapsulated in the National Development Plan, which lays out strategies to achieve universal access to electricity by 2025. Officials were assured of a diligent second phase, fully implementing the project to light up the whole of Kiang before the upcoming deadline.
Between Quinala and Jarasoma. So this is part of our bigger energy access project that we have started to provide access to every part of this country, from West Coast all the way to URR. So this is just the beginning of providing access to our people. It's a promise that was given by the President and the government of the Gambia that every community in this country will be provided access by 2025, which is the universal access agenda that government have set for themselves and tasked NAWEC to make sure it is implemented. So this is just the first step of achieving that objective.
The total cost of this electricity expansion program comes at a total cost of $22,500,000, meant to fast-track nationwide access to electricity in the Gambia by 2025. Bawa Sila, GRTS.
Well, moving on to some ecological matters, because frontliners, the Great Green Wall, are expanding an ongoing environmental restoration and capacity building program across the Gambia. The scheme joins a regional effort to realize an ambitious ecosystem restoration plan developed with communities to enhance ecosystem-based adaptation options that will effectively respond to prevailing climate and non-climate impacts. By Ibrahim Cham has more details in this report.
The Great Green Wall Frontline Project seeks to strengthen the resilience of rural communities through sound ecosystem management. The project is being implemented in the North Bank region of the Gambia, meant to remember the transatlantic slave trade through planting 15 million trees across degraded landscapes and to help improve the livelihoods of communities that are most vulnerable to the impact of climate change in the region. The initiative also seeks to cover 7 districts of the North Bank region. The district assembly commenced in Karawan, Lower Badibu. The program was held in a forum of a high-level validation meeting where women and youth groups as well as village heads discussed how their communities can be transformed to eco-villages in order to adapt to the harsh effects of climate change. The forum was centered on a few thematic areas such as enterprising, business models, ecosystem restoration, ecosystem-based adaptation, land tenure dynamics, legislative instruments, and bylaw sustainability.
This district blueprint are composed of every action in terms of restoration as well as enterprising models that these people's livelihoods are depending on. What are the advantages? What are the need to do things so that these people can actually, have their well-being and their dignity restored. So these assemblies are a way of helping to shape that document, for it to be a bottom-up approach, for it to be community-driven, so that they can take ownership of this initiative.
Day 2 of the event saw the Great Green Wall frontliners and participants proceed to Swarekunda Community Forest in the Lower Badibu district to plant 1,000 seedlings to restore the lost forest cover. Organizers attribute the loss of our forest cover and tree species to various reasons, including poor rainfall, lost standing water, and saltwater intrusion. One of the forestry experts, Dr. Malanding Jete, explained that the impact of environmental conditions impacted on the forest poses a major challenge to restore the lost forest cover, and hence the importance of agroforestry.
Agroforestry, which many people at the beginning sometimes think is really addition of a lot more trees to a piece of land, we are saying no. Put enough trees. It doesn't have a lot more trees, but enough trees to ensure that the benefits of the environmental protection side of it, as well as the ecosystem functions, such as the water systems, water table, as well as the temperature, the microclimate within the park or under a tree, all of these are necessary.
The program was punctuated with folk tales of the traditional communicators, with songs reminding participants of the wisdom of their forefathers and how essential preserving the forest was, cognizant of the fact that the vast benefits of the forest came with its indigenous plants. One of the youth leaders, Mariama, joined the exercise and highlighted the numerous health and nutritious benefits that can be derived from growth of indigenous trees.
It's important to restore this forest because some of these trees that we plant here are used for traditional medications, like some of them are herbs that people use, and some of them also give us help us in having food, like the baobab and some of the other plants that are here.
The forest restoration exercise ended with participants pledging to fulfill and implement the Great Banjul Declaration penned by the late statesman and former president Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara.
Most of our larger wildlife species have disappeared together with the original forest cover. The survival of the wildlife still remaining with us, and the setting aside of protected natural habitats for them is the concern of all of us.
Reporting for GRTS News, I'm by Ibrahim Chan in Lombardy.
Now, over to some environmental matters. Well, we're staying with some environmental matters because hundreds of youth converged in the coastal town of Gunjur on Saturday to restore and revive the environment by planting more than 1,000 tree seedlings. As Yusufa Bojang tells us, the tree planting campaign is part of the Estes Foundation Million Tree Initiative to combat climate change.
A major tree planting initiative to replenish depleting biodiversity brings together the entire community of Gunjur and beyond. It is a massive response to ecological protection spearheaded by the Estes Foundation, which is moving to expand its Million Trees initiative across the Gambia. According to the organizers, the tree planting campaign is driven by current levels of environmental damage and eco-depleting, needing urgent intervention to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals SDGs 13 and 15. The exercise attracted multiple partnerships, including Dindi Yurwa Federation and the Gunjur Youth Movement, among others. Speaking to GRTS shortly after the exercise, celebrated Gambian rapper Sana Singate, fondly called ST, said the realities of climate change is all around us in ways requiring people and communities to responsibly contribute to the rejuvenation of lost forest cover.
Definitely, to build our, environment, because we all know, like without trees, there's hardly life.
ST reiterated his foundation's resolve to support climate action by planting 1 million trees within 5 years. The national coordinator of the ST Foundation, Ali Badra Sow, hailed the historic tree planting campaign, saying the restoration of the environment is everyone's business.
If you look around, climate change issues, effects in the country, we have rising seas in the country, high temperature, like the rain pattern is not regular anymore, So we know this, it's proven that it is important we plant trees because it helps mitigate these effects. So this is why ST, as an artist and as an ambassador, he's using his platform to encourage Gambians to plant trees.
Gunjur VDC chairman Tijan Bojang hailed the foundation for their foresight, hailing the exercise as a vital preventive measure that will mitigate and offset the negative impacts of biodiversity loss and boost ecosystem services.
If you compare the rainfall distribution in this country, you'll find out that the western part of the country receives more rainfall quantity on average than any other part. Then this is followed by the eastern sector. And the region that receives the lowest rainfall is LRR and North Bank. And then if you look at the vegetation cover, you realize that those regions have very little or no vegetation cover. So it's very important to go in for this exercise.
Boba Jane, the Secretary General of the Gunjur Youth Movement, who led hundreds of young people to the planting activity, said over 1,000 different trees have been planted to fight climate change, soil erosion, uplift communities, and restore biodiversity resources.
Shows that the young people of this country are serious about climate actions, because I personally was very thrilled when I saw the good number of the young people coming up. They knew the negative consequences of climate change, and they feel that there is a need to actually come together and fight against this natural phenomenon, should I say.
Dindi Yurwa Federation Manager Aliu Mendy lauded the eco partnership, saying the move will enrich wildlife habitats and improve capacity to adapt to climate change.
They've started an initiative which is very, very noble, and that's about planting trees. We know the importance of trees actually. So as we are planting trees, ST Foundation also is planting trees. We find it as a very fitting partnership, and this is why we are partnering with him.
Ecosystem restoration at a global scale is an important driven being undertaken to mitigate the ecological crisis currently facing the world, with experts warning time is running out to protect the biodiversity for future generations. Yusuf Bojang, GRTS News.
Well, over now to the Gambia's virtual economy, which is witnessing a robust awakening as Africa's crypto leader, Archbishop Sam Zuga, launches the Zuga coin in the Gambia. On Saturday, the Nigerian community in the Gambia conducted a march procession to celebrate the coming of Africa's first cryptocurrency investment launched by Archbishop Zuga, whose blockchain is making waves across the continent with 15 payment outlets around the world. The Zuga coin, which is being positioned to tackle poverty, deliver startup funds for young African businesses, joins the global crypto move with a focus on developing digital entrepreneurs in Africa to promote investments in the virtual trading market. It is the first emergence of crypto in the Gambia, where a new digital economy and communications ministry is moving to bridge the technology gap and enhance the country's quest for a fully operational digital economy embracing virtual markets and capacities. The march procession from the traffic lights to the Independence Stadium witnessed the first advocacy effort to popularize crypto in the Gambia. At the end of the march past, led by the police, Africa's premier crypto investor and top Nigerian Archbishop, Professor Zuga, addressed the gathering, urging young people and aspiring startup initiators to embrace the new digital economy and emerging opportunities for entrepreneurial development. Let's take a listen to this excerpt.
I want to let you understand that everything in this life has expiry date. Even God, his name is the beginning and the end. He's in charge of the beginning. He's in charge of the end. So that means he's living from the beginning. He also knows where the end will be. He's living in eternity, but we are living in time. So there is an expiry date for everything in life. Today I want to let you understand the identity of poverty on Africa. The expiry date has finally arrived. We are known for poverty. Known for poverty. We are in captivity of poverty. It's as if it will never end. But I want to assure all Africans that poverty expiry date is finally here. I want you to understand this. I am mentioning captivity, I am mentioning poverty, but I also want you to understand mentality. Mentality is what took us into captivity that has been led by poverty.
I want to tell Nigerians and Nigerians alike, good things never come easy. The coming of Archbishop to the Gambia, like he said, he wanted to turn things around, and I believed him because I'm not somebody to be convinced easily. I went into findings about whom Archbishop is. I want to tell you, he's more than what he's telling us that he is. When I was talking to people in Nigeria, even in government sectors, Archbishop Professor Sam Zuga is more than 5 governors in Nigeria. I must tell you this. But good things never come easy. And that is why a lot of people are not here today. But I want to tell you, he's coming to Gambia, and Africa as large are going to benefit from this noble gesture.
And moving on, the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, recently organized a day-long dialogue between decentralized structures and grassroots political actors in the Lower River region. The interface aimed at strengthening peace and social cohesion ahead of the 2023 local government elections was supported by UNICEF through the United Nations Peace Building Fund. Usman Balde picks up the rest of that story.
The event was held on the theme Enhancing Mutual Understanding, Tolerance, Peaceful Coexistence and Collaboration among Local Authorities and Political Actors at Grassroots Level. It required to enable stakeholders to discuss issues that will remedy political problems among Gambians ahead of the 2023 local government elections. Speaking at the forum, the Senior Program Officer NCCE gave an overview of the program.
This engagement also helped to build the capacity of the stakeholders present here on the concept and principle of democracy, democratic government, fundamental right, and respect for rule of law. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, being an electronic cycle requires constant engagement to reorientate the citizen, sensitize and educate them on their civic right and obligation to be able to meaningfully and responsibly exercise their political rights while maintaining peace throughout the process. Despite having few of us gathered here, We trust the message from this engagement will reach a wider audience as the quality of representation here is impressive and quite diverse because we have decentralized community leaders here, we have young people and grassroots political actors. As representation of mass of your respective constituents, you have an obligation to disseminate message, proceeding and outcome of this engagement.
The Kunala Ward Councillor Serif Diba discouraged the use of abusive languages bullying in politics, particularly on social media.
Wodo munesi kairo nintenku sabatin dinon tema wala munda malla kachata. Nin kachata nga nyomwe nga na daji kol falim politiko kono. Politiko man na nyina pour fitino. Kabri 1965 Gambia jambe politiko kono. Wodo sai politiko man kentul fanay luntanti. Politiko man na nyina ka nyo bayndi. Politiko man na nyina ka nyo hasidia. Politiko man na nyina ka fitino bondi. Politiko nata munela kairo ni tenkumo kono. Momo ye right le soto pour ka tara patriote. Patriote pati diate sitara no jel. Bal ka fo ko be pati karle o matinda ko yanda fitino bondi la pati do mol kanne.
The representative of the chief of Jara West Keba Marong called for peaceful coexistence throughout the electoral cycle and beyond. The organizers are hopeful that the forum will contribute immensely in strengthening peace and stability within the region before, during, and after the election. Usman Balde, GRTS News.
The Solidarity Association for Orphans, Wisdom and Needy Gambia has laid the foundation stone for the construction of a new Arabic school for orphaned children in Basse Koba Kunda. The center is meant to raise and support vulnerable children to memorize the Quran. Our correspondent in the Upper River region is Seydou Kamara, and he picks up the rest of that story.
Foundation stone for this Arabic school in Basse Koba Kunda by the Solidarity Association for Orphans, Wisdom and Needy Gambia availed the beneficiary students in the area the opportunity to memorize the Holy Quran.
Awako hawrinen do hande sukaɓe ɓe bammo maayi e rewɓe ɓe worɓe maɓɓe maayi e kadi miskineɓe ko ɗum suudu mum men darnata ɗo ko yete jangirdu to Allah jaɓi kadi ko oni anni amen wona jangirta men darnata de men darna juma kay to dow fof ko teddungal moɗon.
The Quran Memorization Center that is expected to accommodate dozens of students, both male and female, also comprises a mosque. The initiative is meant to install good moral in the children in accordance with the teachings of Islam.
Kengani Jamiyatul Inayati bil Aitami wal Aramili wal Masakin bi Gambia yo kunya dingiram payere kahobe gasriti na aliyatime nundema ado undumbaru ado miskino yoga mundana khran kompebe tagida ngani koba kunda Kenya hailenki ogari na nono.
Mumbai Building Construction Company has been awarded the contract for the construction of the school. Several speakers, including the Alkali of Koba Kunda, highlighted the importance of the school in the area, especially for children seeking madrasa education. The community of Koba Kunda joined the Solidarity Association for Orphans to further solicit support from philanthropies, NGOs, and other donors agencies to complement their efforts in completing the school as soon as possible. Seydou Kamara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse Upper River region.
Well, let's do some sports now because summer signing Darwin Núñez sealed victory for Liverpool as they beat Manchester City 3-1 to clinch the Community Shield. The FA Cup winners were pipped to the Premier League title by a single point last term after a season-long fight with City, but came out on top in a tremendous game in Leicester. Playing at the King Power Stadium, the two sides fought a strong Community Shield battle, with Reds fullback 10th Alexander-Arnold scoring the opener in a calling effort from the edge of the box, which took a slight deflection of Nathan Ake and nestled in the far corner. The Community Shield, the Football Association Community Shield, is English football's annual match contested at Wembley Stadium between the champions of the previous Premier League season and the holders of the FA Cup. And of course, we look at news from beyond our shores as well. And in a new report titled Death in Slow Motion, human rights group Amnesty International has said the suffocating crackdown against Afghanistan's female population is increasing day by day. The most visible part of this crackdown is in Afghanistan schools. Moving on now, organ trafficking is one aspect of human trafficking that often receives little attention. Many may consider it as an urban myth rather than a serious crime, but prosecutors in Brazil say it exists, though underreported. And moving on to the internationals, elsewhere, fire crews have made progress against California's largest wildfire. The Oak Fire is now more than a third contained, but officials say it could take another couple of weeks to fully contain it. Take a look at the front line with the firefighters, but that we will bring you in our subsequent bulletins. Well, that was all we had time for in this edition of the news at 2200 hours. But before we go, a quick look at our top stories. His Excellency President Adama Barrow has laid the foundation stone for the construction works, building new facilities for the new University of Applied Sciences, Engineering and Technology in Brikama. Expanding the National Electrification Program, NAWEC is moving to light up all communities in Kiang as they expand the country's power grid to the hinterlands. And extending the Great Green Wall, Gambian ecologists are intensifying tree planting activities, establishing an 8,000-kilometer long line of trees across the Sahel to hold the certification in the region's biggest eco project. And in sports, summer signing Darwin Núñez sealed victory for Liverpool as they beat Manchester City 3-1 to clinch the Community Shield. And away from our shores, a new Amnesty International report said the suffocating crackdown against Afghanistan's female population is increasing day by day. And elsewhere, fire crews in the U.S. are making progress against California's largest wildfire, with more than a third of the unprecedented oak blaze contained. Well, that was all we had time for in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Enjoy the rest of our program. Have a good night.
Trust must be